Hi, seventh graders. Welcome to February Book Talk. Our first book on our list today is called 100 Hours. And this is a little bit about 100 Hours. It's by Rachel Vincent. A decent spring break beach getaway becomes a terrifying survival story when 6 Miami teens are kidnapped. Maddie is beyond done with her cousin Genesis's entitled and shallow entourage. Genesis is so over Miami's predictable social theme and its velvet ropes, petty power plays, and backstabbing boyfriends. While Maddie craves family time for spring break, Genesis seeks novelty, like a last-minute getaway to an untouched beach in Colombia. And when Genesis wants something, it happens. But paradise has a price. Dragged from their tents under the cover of dark, Genesis, Maddie, and their friends are kidnapped and held for ransom deep inside the jungle, with no diva left behind. It all feels so random to everyone except Genesis. She knows that they were targeted for a reason, and that reason is her. 100 Hours. Our next book is Marbury Lens. This is by Andrew Smith. He's kidnapped. He's escaped narrowly. The only person he tells is his best friend Connor. When they arrive in London, as planned for summer break, a stranger hands Jack a pair of glasses. Through the lenses, he sees another world called Marbury. There's war in Marbury. It is desolate and a murderous place where Jack is responsible for the survival of 2 younger boys. Connor is there too, but he's trying to kill them. Meanwhile, Jack is falling in love with an English girl and afraid he's losing his mind. Connor tells Jack it's gonna be okay, but it's not. Explores the nightmarish outer limits of what trauma can do to our bodies and our minds. Marbury Lenses. The next book is Kill the Boy Band by Goldie Modofsky. Just know from the start that it wasn't supposed to go like this. All we wanted was to get near them. That's why we got a room in the hotel where they were staying. We were not planning to kidnap one of them, especially not the most useless one. But we had his room key, his cell phone, and his secrets. We're not planning on what happened next. We swear. Hilarious take on fandom and the thrill-seeking girls who have the power to make or break the people we call celebrities. The next book is the first book in the Aaron Blake series. It's called To Catch a Killer by Cheryl Scarborough. This is it. Elaine Blake has one of those names. A name like Natalie Holloway or Elizabeth Smart is inextricably linked to a grisly crime. As a toddler, Erin survived for 3 days alongside the corpse of her murdered mother and the case, which remains unsolved, and fascinated the nation. Her father's identity is unknown, and Erin was taken in by her mother's best friend and has become a relatively normal teen in spite of the looming questions about her past. She becomes obsessed with investigating her own true crimes. And this is To Catch Killer. The next book is called The Both of Me. It was supposed to be just another flight, another escape into a foreign place where she could forget her past, forget her attachments until Claire found herself seated next to an alluring boy named Elias Finn, a boy who seems to know secrets that she barely is able to admit herself for years. When her carry-on bag is accidentally switched with Eliza's identical pack, Claire uses the luggage tag to track down her things. At that address, she discovers there is not one Elias Finn, but 2. What are the odds of this weird thing? As she learns of Elias's dissociative identity disorder and finds herself quickly entangled in both Elias's lives, Claire makes a decision that could change all of them forever. And that is Both of Me. The next book is called Picture Me Gone by Meg Rosoff. Gorgeous and unforgettable page-turner about the relationship between parents and children, love and loss. Milla has an exceptional talent for reading a room, sensing hidden facts and unspoken emotions from clues that others overlook. So when her father's best friend Matthew goes missing from his upstate New York home, Milla and her beloved father travel from London to find him. She collects information about Matthew, from his belongings, from his wife and his baby, and from the dog he left behind, and from the ghost of his past, slowly piecing together the story everyone else has missed. But just when she's closest to solving the mystery, a shocking betrayal calls into question her trust in the one person she thought she could read best. And that was Picture Me Gone. The next book is called The Darkest Corners. The Darkest Corners is by Kara Thomas. This is a psychological thriller about the lies little girls tell and the deadly truth those lies become. There are ghosts around every corner in Fayette, Pennsylvania. Tessa left when she was 9 and has been trying ever since not to think about it after what happened there that last summer. Memories of things so dark will burn themselves into your mind if you let them. Kelly never left. She moved to another house, so she doesn't have to walk those same halls. But then Kelly always was the stronger one. She can handle staring into the faces of her demons, and if she parties hard enough, maybe one day they'll disappear for good. Tessa and Callie have never talked about what they saw that night. After the trial, Callie drifted and Tessa moved, and their childhood friends just have a way of losing touch. But ever since she's left, Tessa's had questions. Things have never quite added up, and now she has to go back to Fayette, to Wyatt Stokes sitting on death row, to Lori Colley's dead cousin, and to the other person whom she may be hiding the truth. Only the closer Tessa gets to the truth, the closer she gets to the killer. And that was The Darkest Corners. Okay. Our next book is called Good Girls. This is by Claire Eliza Bartlett. The troublemaker, the overachiever, the cheer captain, the dead girl. Like every school in America, Jefferson Lauren contains all of the above. After the shocking murder of Emma Baines, 3 of her classmates are at the top of the suspect list. Claude, the notorious partier, Avery, the head cheerleader, and Gwen, the would-be valedictorian. Everyone has a label, whether they like it or not, and Emma was always known as the good girl. But appearances are never what they seem, and the truth behind what really happened to Emma may just be lying in plain sight, as long-buried secrets come to light and the clock is ticking to find Emma's killer before another girl goes down. And that's Good Girls. The next book is called March Toward the Thunder by Joseph Bruchac. A unique perspective on the Civil War. Louis Nolet is an Algonquin Indian from Canada who's recruited to fight in the Northern Irish Brigade in the war between the states. Even though he's too young and not American or Irish, he finds the promise of good wages and a union fight to end slavery persuasive reasons to join up. But war is never what is expected. As Lewis fights his way through battle after battle, he encounters prejudice and acceptance, courage and cowardness, strong and weak leadership in the most unexpected places. A Civil War story based on the experiences the author Bruchac's great-grandfather, chock full of historical facts and details. These carefully researched books will give readers new insight into some of the untold stories and unsung heroes of the American Civil War. Another war book called Invasion by Walter Dean Myers. Josiah Wedgwood and Marcus Perry are on their way to an uncertain future. Their whole lives are ahead of them, yet at the same time, death's whisper is everywhere. One white, one black, these young men have nothing in common and everything in common as they approach an experience that will change them forever. In May 1944, World War II is ramping up, and so are these young recruits, ready and eager. In small towns and big cities all over the globe, people are filled with fear. When Josiah and Marcus come together in what will be the greatest test of their lives, they learn hard lessons about race, friendship, and what it really means to fight. The next book is called The Samurai Shortstop. It's by Alan Gratz. Tokyo, 1890. Tokyo is caught up in a competitive world of boarding school and must prove himself to make the team in a new sport called Besusburo. But he grieves for his uncle, a samurai who sacrificed himself for his beliefs, at a time when most of Japan is eager to shed ancient tradition. It's only when his father decides to teach him the way of the samurai that Tokyo grows to better understand his uncle and father. And to surprise, the warrior training guides him to excel at baseball, a sport his father despises as yet another modern Western menace. It's a sports story and more about a boy who must choose between two ways of life, but finds a way to bridge them both. This book is called Heroes. Where did that go? Oh, here it is. This is by Robert Cormier. Francis Joseph Cassavant has just returned home from the Second World War, and he has no face. He does have a gun and a mission to murder his childhood hero, though. Francis lost most of his face when he fell on a grenade in France. He received the Silver Star for bravery, but it was really an act of heroism. Now, having survived, he's looking for a man he once admired and respected, a man adored by many people, a man who also received a Silver Star for bravery, a man who destroyed Francis's life. Heroes. The next book is called Missing in Action by Dean Hughes. Dirty, lazy, good for nothing. Jay Thacker was used to hearing himself called names because his dad is half Navajo. But he's hoping now that he and his mom have moved to stay with his grandparents because of World War II that things may be different. Delta is a tiny town in Utah, nothing like Salt Lake, where they used to live. And Jay's grandfather is an elder in the church, a beloved and well-respected man. Jay begins to make friends and even to make more money as he works the fields for his grandfather. There's just one problem. He works alongside of a young man named Ken, who's in the camps is nearby Topaz, which means Ken is a Jap. And Jay's dad, who's been fighting for the Navy out of the Pacific, was recently declared missing in action. An understated and moving story about an unlikely friendship from the author of the other book claimed by Soldier Boys, which we will be talking about later. This book is called Traitor. It's by Amanda McCrinnan. Poland, 1944. After the Soviet liberation of Leo from Germany, the city remains a battleground between the resistant fighters and insurgent armies. Its loyalties torn between Poland and the Ukraine. Tola is half Ukrainian, half Polish, and he joined the Soviet Red Army to keep himself alive and fed. When he not quite accidentally shoots his unit's political officer in the street, he's rescued by a squad of Ukrainian freedom fighters. They might have saved him, but Tola doesn't trust them. He especially doesn't trust Solovey, the squad's war-scored young leader, who has plenty of secrets of his own. Then a betrayal sends them both on a run, and in a city where loyalty comes second to self-preservation, a traitor can be an enemy or a savior or sometimes both. This book is called One Moment. It's by Christina McBride. Christina McBride is an Ohio author. I have personally met her. She's wonderful, and so are her books. This was supposed to be the best summer of Maggie's life. Now it's the one she'd do anything to forget. Maggie remembers hanging out at the gorge with her closest friends after a party. She remembers climbing the trail with her perfect boyfriend, Joey. She remembers that last kiss, soft lingering, meant to reassure her. So why can't she remember what happened in the moment before they were supposed to dive? Why was she left cowering at the top of the cliff while Joey floated in the water below, dead? As Maggie's memories return in snatches, nothing seems to make any sense. Why was Joey acting strangely at the party? Where did he go after taking her home? And if Joey was keeping these secrets, what else was he hiding? One moment. Okay, the next book, we are going to talk about the Printz Award. The Printz Award is for outstanding teen, specifically teen and young adult fiction. This one, the first one I'm going to share with you is, and all three of these books are all honors for the Printz Award. We're also going to talk about the Newbery Award. This one's called Shipbreakers. It's by Paleo Bascalalupe. I can't say his name. Bascalalupe. Anyway, this is the first book in the Shipbreakers series. In America's Gulf Coast region, where grounded oil tankers are being broken down for parts, Naylor, a teenage boy, works the night crew, scavenging for copper wiring just to make quota and hopefully live to see another day. But when by luck or chance he discovers an exquisite clipper ship Beached during a recent hurricane, Naylor faces the most important decision of his life: strip the ship for all it's worth to rescue his lone survivor, a beautiful and wealthy girl who could lead him to a better life. Shipwreckers. The second Printz Award book I'm going to share with you is called Where Things Come Back. You'll also notice it is also a William Morris Award winner as well. Let's see. It says, when Cullen Winter thinks he understands everything about his small and painfully dull Arkansas town, it all disappears. In the summer, a nominally depressed birdwatcher named John Barley thinks he spotted a species of woodpecker thought to be extinct since the 40s in Lilly, Arkansas. He discovery of the so-called Lazarus woodpecker sparks a flurry of press and woodpecker mania. Soon all the kids are getting woodpecker haircuts and everyone's eating Lazarus burgers, but as absurd as the town carnival atmosphere has become, nothing is more startling than the realization that Colin's sensitive, gifted 15-year-old brother Gabrielle has suddenly and inexplicably disappeared. And that's Where Things Come Back. The last of the Printz Awards that I'm going to share with you today is called We Are Okay, and this is by Nina LaCour. You go through life thinking there's so much you need until you leave with only your phone, your wallet, and a picture of your mother. Marion hasn't spoken to anyone in her whole life since the day she left everything behind. No one knows the truth about those final weeks, not even her best friend, Mabel, but even thousands of miles away from the California coast in New York, Marion feels the pull of life and tragedy she's tried to outrun. Now, months later, alone in an empty dorm for pink winter break, Marion waits Mabel to come to visit, and Marion will be forced to face everything that's been left unsaid and finally confront the loneliness that has made her home a heart. And that was We Are Okay. Now, the Newbery Award is for children's fiction, but oftentimes those board books are in our teen collection too, because they'll go up to 6th and 7th grade sometimes. So these are some of the previous Newbery Award winners from previous years. The first one I'm going to talk about is The Westing Game. This is by Ellen Raskins. A bizarre chain of events begins when 16 unlikely people gather for a reading of Samuel W. Weston's will. And though no one knows why the eccentric game-loving millionaire has chosen a virtual stranger and a possible murderer to inherit his vast fortune, one thing's for sure: Sam Westing may be dead, but that won't stop him from playing one last game, The Westing Game. The next book we're going to talk about is The View from Saturday by E.L. Konigsberg. How has Mrs. Olinsky's academic bold team? She had a number of answers, but were any of them true? How had she really chosen Noah and Nadia and Ethan and Julian, and why did they make such a good team? It was a surprise to a lot of people when Mrs. Olinsky's team won the academic bowl contest at Epiphany Middle School. It was also an even bigger surprise when they went on to greater victories. Everyone began to ask, how did it happen? It happened at least partly because Noah had been the best man at the wedding of Ethan's grandmother and Nadia's grandfather. It happened because Nadia discovered that she could not let a lot of baby turtles die. It happened when Ethan could not let Julian face disaster alone. And it happened because Julian valued something important in himself and saw that in the other three somethings that he valued. Mrs. Olinsky, returning to teaching after having been injured in an automobile accident, found that her academic bold team became her answer to finding confidence and success. Why did she not know, at least at first, was that her team knew more than she did the answers to why they had been chosen. And that's The View from Saturday. 3 Times Lucky is by Sheila Turnage. This is a book 1 from the Moe and Dale Mysteries. Mrs. Moses LeBeau lives in a small town in Tupelo Landing, North Carolina, where everyone's business is fair game and no secret is sacred. She washes ashore in a hurricane 11 years ago, and she's been making waves ever since. Although Mo hopes someday to find her upstream mother, she found a home with the Colonel, a cafe owner with a forgotten past of his own, and Miss Lena, the fabulous cafe hostess. She will protect those she loves with every bit of her strong will and tough attitude. So when a lawman comes to town asking about a murder, Mo and her best friend Dale Earnhardt Johnson III set out to uncover the truth in hopes of saving the only family Mo has ever known. And that is 3 Times Lucky. This is one of the older Newbery Award winners. It's called Slave Dancer by Paula Fox. Kidnapped by a crew of an African-bound ship, 13-year-old boy discovers to his horror that he is a slaver and his job is to play music for the exercise periods of the human cargo. And that is Slave Dancer. The Midwife's Apprentice is by Karen Cushman. A girl known only as Brought has no family, no home, and no future until she meets Jane the midwife and becomes her apprentice. As she helps the sharp-tempered Jane deliver babies, Brought, who renames herself Alice, gains knowledge, confidence, and courage to want something from life. A full belly, a content heart, and a place in the world. Medieval village life makes a lively backdrop for a funny, poignant story of how Alice gets what she wants. A concluding note discusses midwifery, past and present. So it's got some historical presence to it, too. All right. We have 2 more books. This book is A Year Down Yonder by Richard Peck. Mary Alice remembers childhood summers packed with drama. She faces a whole long year with Grandma Doddle, well known for shaking up her neighbors and everyone else. All Mary Alice can know for certain is this: when trying to predict how life with Grandma might turn out, better not. So this is The Year Down Yonder by Richard Peck. And the last book we're going to discuss today is Surviving the Applewhites by Stephanie S. Tolan. Will anyone take on Jack Simple? Jack Simple is notorious. Rumor has it he's burned down his old school and got kicked out of every school in his home state. Only one place will take him now, and that's a home school run by the Applewhites, a chaotic and hilarious family of artists. The only one who doesn't fit the Applewhites mold is Edie, a smart, sensitive girl who immediately clashes with the unruly Jake. Jake thinks surviving this one will be a breeze, but he is really as tough or as bad as he seems. Surviving the Applewhites. All right, so you have 25 books to choose from this month, including Newberries and Printz books. There's war books, mysteries, and kidnapping books. So I hope you enjoyed these selections. They will be in your box and then delivered to your school. And let me know if there's anything else that I can do for you guys, the 7th graders. Have a great day.